Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So as I was working with my boxing coach, Rob, this morning, just had a great session. And boxing and sparring and pads and heavy bag and all sorts of fun shit, speed bag. And I'm reminded of this message, which is to respect your limitations. Respect and know your limitations. So I'm coming off of some kind of like a cold, I don't know, some kind of bug. Where I was quite run down last week. I was actually out of town as well, too, with my oldest son, Tyson, in Calgary, special program he was in. And I'm still recovering, and like I'm not 100% yet, but you know it's back at it, right? I had a fever and really sore throat and coughing up all sorts of phlegm stuff, and you know a lot of that stuff has passed. So it's like, okay, it's time to start moving the body again, like get back at it, right? However, it had been like 10 days off of training, so with like travel time, and then it actually started a few days before we left for Calgary that I started to not feel well. That you know, I couldn't go to, I couldn't go to Saturday boxing before we left on the Sunday. So yeah, it had been like 10 days. And so my conditioning was a little off, clearly. And then because I've been coughing, you know, as I take a deep breath, as I think about this right now, like my lungs, they don't feel like I have that same depth to them, right? And so with boxing, it's a lot of conditioning, like a lot of what some people refer to as cardio, right? So you're moving a lot. They might seem just, it's 2-3 minute rounds, but like they're long. They're long when you're going at that intensity. So I found myself when I went in on Monday, I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do what I can do, right? Like just really respect my limitations. My body's still healing. I can't be back exactly where I left off because I've been, number one, 10 days like off from training. And the second piece of that is, you know, I'm still kind of run down. My body's still healing. And I need to really respect that. Because what would be the possible outcome? I pushed my body so hard, I pushed it over the edge that I'm now forcing it to take time away from healing and energy away from healing so I can now actually have energy to recovering because I've pushed so hard, right? Not the brightest thing to do because I knew to respect my limitations, to be aware of them, right? And to know them. And so, you know, the only way we're going to know our limitations at time is if we actually push it to that edge, right? When I started boxing, I was actually working with a coach when I was still in Alberta. We met for maybe, 10 or 12 times. And I remember at the beginning, so here I am, lifting girl. I've been lifting from the age of 15 to at that point when I was 47, just turned 47. And I'm like, okay, I'm the strong girl. I'm not fast. I'm not doing like marathons. This is no cardio stuff, but I'm strong as shit. I can lift heavy stuff. I can push it. I can pull it. I can lift stuff over my head. I can pull weight. Like, that's who I am. That was my identity, right? So we started training, and I'd be just like gassed in between doing rounds of training. And I'm like, dude, this girl does not move fast, right? Now, piece of that was my story, but also at the same time, like, that was my limitation. My body was not trained. It was trained for short bursts, but very, very different in the world of fighting, boxing, any kind of training like this or martial arts. It's a very different animal than lifting weights. It just is. And so I remember that just being like, man, like it's going to take a little while, right? It's going to take a little while. Even when I then moved to Victoria, where I am now in BC, and I started working with Rob, and I would still just find myself like being gassed, right? Now, fast forward to around, August of this year, and I was beginning to go into, end of August, into fight camp. I had a tournament October the 7th, which unfortunately never happened because I didn't have an opponent for me at the time. So be it. I'll be getting in the ring sometime in 2018. And so my conditioning was amped up big time because you're getting ready. It's like for those of you that are runners, you log more mileage, right? Like you get ready for the race. So getting ready for this tournament, I had to log more time in the gym, right? Like more rounds. And so I remember, the I think the 2 weeks before, I trained 9 times. So that means, and I had 1 day off. So I had, how does that work with the math? Is that 4 days that I did doubles? No, 5, I think 3 days I did doubles. Anyways, 9 times. It was a lot. And then 3 or 4 leading up to, and then the Wednesday onward I have off. Now the tournament was supposed to be on Saturday. Wednesday I got one of like, we might not have somebody, but maybe someone will register last minute. And then Thursday was like, it's off. There's nobody for you to fight. And so, my conditioning leading up to that was like, now I was again pushed to the edge. I was also doing hill runs. I'm doing repeats at home on the rower. Like I did I did extra like massage and floats and recovery and chiropractic and sleep and water. And like, I was just really training my body, right? Like a machine. And, leading up to that, at the beginning, I'd feel gas. But as I went into that fight camp and towards the end, my conditioning was way up. So my ability, right? So I would hit threshold with training and keep going through. And therefore my capacity to be able to do more work, be faster, be stronger, have more power in my punches, recover better between rounds, all that stuff was amped up. But at the beginning, it was not that way. And it was important for me to respect the progression, because what happens if you don't respect the progression? A couple different things. This has been my experience working with clients. Number one, you start to compare yourself to others that are way beyond where you are, but you think that you should be exactly where they are. People take a look at my husband and I are married. So as I record this episode, 25 years ago, today, December 20th, 1992, we met for the first time in a bar. 25 years that we've been together. 25 years, okay? Almost 3 years of weekly date nights, daily text messages, like really investing in our marriage. So where we are and our ability to be able to adapt to stuff that comes up in life is so high that, the fights, when we have fights, I'm going to say if we have fights, of course we still have fights. When we have fights, recovery's fast, we're so honest with each other, we're completely open like we've never been. And some will take a look that know us or see little pieces or things that we kind of share online and go, man, like we're just not there and I can't, dude, you got to respect the fucking progression. Like it takes time. You can't compare to us. You can't compare. When I used to CrossFit, people would come into the gym and they would compare to those of us who have been CrossFitting for like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years and go, oh, I can't do a dumbbell under skipping. Well, no shit. You just started. For me to get double unders, it took me practicing daily for probably like a good 4 weeks until I could actually do any. And then it was stringing together more than one, so consecutives. And then I could do as many as 50 sometimes double unders. Like it took time to get there. You got to respect the progression. So number one, if you don't, you're going to start comparing yourself to others. And it's just not a fair fight, right? It's not a fair comparison. It's apples and oranges. You can't compare those two. And here's the second piece of that. When you fail to respect the progression, you're probably going to quit. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to beat yourself up. You're going to go, I'm such an idiot. Why don't I have this yet? And you're going to give up. You're going to quit. You're going to walk away. And make up excuses and reasons for it. Well, I'm just really busy right now. I'm kind of tired. It's not really for me. Like you hit the threshold, that uncomfortable thing of like, fuck, this is really hard work. Whether it is with your body or with your marriage or with your business and work or with your kids, and just be like, tapping out. Like the program that we just had Tyson go through called the Davis Method, because Tyson has a dyslexic brain. About 1 in 5 people in the world actually do. So they see the world differently. And so it's really understanding and learning tools to really deal with that, because there's such a beautiful piece of dyslexia. It literally is considered like a gift, because they see the world so different. They're the problem solvers and the creatives and like just big thinkers of the world. So, you don't want to shut that piece off. It's learning these tools. And even though we had an intensive week for Tyson working with a facilitator, teacher one-on-one, well, now the work begins when we get home, and we're week 1 into it. And it's going to be several months of this. And then ongoing, right? Several months is the intensive stuff, and then ongoing after that. And believe me, there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh man, how is this going to work? If he doesn't want to do shit, like I can't force him. What am I do? Like stick his head into a book and go read this, like what the fuck am I going to do? And it's like, listen, there's some uncomfortable patches that have come up already after the first 2 days. Oh my God, today's just Wednesday. The first 2 days. But we'll keep working through it. because I know it's going to take time. And I've committed to this. And I know why I'm doing it. For my boy. And I'm going to respect the progression. And I'm going to understand that, there's going to be limitations. And I can't push Tyson to the point of exactly how it has to be. And I'm going to introduce little pieces at a time until he gets used to this new routine, this new structure, this new way of being and seeing the world, so he can learn better and read better and feel good about himself, most importantly. So here's your more tip for today, then, sister. What is something for you that's coming up right now in your life where you're simply not respecting your limitations? Like maybe it's something like your body. You're like, oh, I should be able to lift this amount of weight. And like you just started lifting, right? You think maybe you do CrossFit and you're like, oh, I should have this kind of time. And like what's considered one of the benchmark workouts, like FRAM, which is thrusters and pull-ups, and one of the most disgusting workouts. I should have this certain time. I should be able to finish. I should do it RX, which is at the prescribed weight. And I'm not there yet, right? Maybe it's something in your marriage. Maybe you're not understanding that, listen, you haven't invested in your marriage and you sent text messages for a week and you want things to turn around. Like that shit's going to take time, right? You're wanting things to change within your business, but yet you haven't really invested into it. Time, money, energy. Like it's going to take time for these things to be created, right? For you to really manifest these things and create them intentionally into your life. So where is it for you that you're just simply not respecting that? And here's the second piece of that, because I love action. What's the one action step you can do that will actually have you just consider that you have some limitations right now, and that's okay. It's not an excuse to go, I'm not there yet. It's reality, right? It's real. So what is one action step that you can do that will really help you? And maybe that you're pulling back a little bit. Maybe if it's something like with your body, like I'm going to give my body a little bit more time to rest and recover. And I'm just simply going with a different mindset when I work out today than I have in past days. Like I'm going to enjoy it, I'm working with a swim coach right now and really wanting to master swimming, specifically starting with front crawl. I've never taken like real swimming lessons. So I kind of hack swim, but it could save my life probably in rough water. But I won't learn how to swim. And so there was something that she said to me yesterday when we were training, was like, just let your body just relax. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it, right? I was tense and holding my body kind of tight at times and trying to keep my head up when I'd be doing 1, 2, 3 strokes and turn my head to take a breath before my head goes back in the water, and my body's tight and tense. So you can't resist what is. If I kept at that pace, there's no way I could really relax and get the progress I did in our lesson yesterday. It just wouldn't be possible. So what is one action step that you can do to really respect your limitations right now? And knowing that those limitations will get less and less and less, but only if you respect and you're honest about where you are now. If you're not honest with where you are now, you're never going to get to where you want to go. It's simply the way it works, sister. So listen, there are so many of you. I've mentioned this last couple of podcast episodes, but it blows my mind that there's something like, I think our average about 2,000 to 2,200 listens to the podcast every single day, and just a small fraction of you are actually receiving the Women Wanting More newsletter. Like, this is VIP access. You get first dibs on all special programs, special pricing on things, like special events, content every single day, not just the podcast, but blog posts, like amazing stuff that you need to be a part of if you want to be part of the Women Wanting More community and tribe. So I want you to head over right now to drkarenosborne.com. Enter in your email. You'll see that right when you hit the page below my smiling face. And I'm also going to send you the More for Action guide, which really teaches you in a worksheet and in a video how to start your day in power, which is the foundation to creating life of more. So I will talk to you in the next episode, sister. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborne.com/newsletter.